Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday's market wrap up here at Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz, and folks, what a week it has been. One for the books, and it ain't over. Real quick though, obviously I got to keep the president's Twitter feed up nearly 24/7 since he's impacting the markets. But isn't this funny? Thanks Twitter for on Donald Trump's Twitter feed. Here's the people that they recommend I follow: Jimmy Fallon, barf; Justin Bieber, double barf; and Ellen DeGeneres. That dude's not funny. That dude's can't sing, and that dude's not funny. Thanks, Twitter, but I'll pass on all of those recommendations. Okay, man, we have a lot to cover. Haven't really covered the I word too much recently, but that is going to rear its ugly head again. Just because, remember, folks, one of the wizisms that I teach people here at Top Gun Options is the market only cares when it cares. The hell's that mean, Wiz? Just because we're not paying attention to the Iranian nuclear program right now on CNBC or Fox or CNN or anything like that doesn't mean, the Iranians don't say, all right, guys, everybody go home. Nobody's paying attention to us building a nuke, so we're going to stop. No, folks, this stuff is all going on. My buddy who I flew Hornets with, Putnam Brown, Captain Brown of the Abraham Lincoln, is now in the Arabian Gulf, folks. Big, big stuff going on. And this is going to come to a head. Gibraltar, this little court in Gibraltar, released this Iranian tanker despite what? The U.S. said, no, we want it. The Department of Justice said, hey, man, they're breaking sanctions. This thing is ours now. And, of course, kind of this little world court or, limousine liberal type of court disagreed. And I don't know what they're going to do with this tanker. I don't know if they're going to get back or the United States is going to try and get it again or blah, blah, whatever. The point being is this is coming to a head. Europe is treating Iran like 1938 Adolf Hitler. They're just kissing their ass, hoping that they don't get killed. And the exact opposite is going to happen. Europe needs to get a backbone. Britain tried to do the whole, we're not going to hang out with you, U.S., in this whole Iran and Gulf thing and tankers. And they went to the European allies, who are a bunch of cowards. And Europe said, more or less, pass. So now Britain's calling their cousin again, going, all right, now I guess we need to hang out with you. Europe, grow a backbone, man. You guys are going to be on the receiving end of the short-range nukes when, not if, Iran gets these. President Donald Trump does not seem like the type of guy who's going to let this thing die. And, oh, by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu, who obviously Israel first, could care less what the United States thinks, and he's going to have to deal with this if we don't. Israel has already said they're not going to let Iran get a nuke. I'm asked constantly in the live trade briefs or new members or just even in the free briefs that I do, hey, what's kind of some of your black swans? It's right there, folks. It's Iran. Iran getting a nuclear weapon, and if you're a Nostradamus type of student, World War III or kind of the end of the world starts in the Middle East with an Iran type of country, a Persian type of country, and massive destruction. And you can only imagine what that means. Speaking of massive destruction, North Korea fires 2 missiles into the sea in a 6th weapons test in just a month amid U.S. tensions. So the president, sounding more and more like an idiot every day in foreign policy, especially this week on China, which we'll get to. The president keeps doing the whole, the great dear leader Kim will never want to let me down by firing. He hasn't broken anything that we agreed to in Singapore. That might be semantically correct, Mr. President. That's what a junior in college in debate club, you might win on that. But seriously, dude, the guy is doing this. I don't know. I'm not going to drag this out too much. This is another potential black swan. When the president speaks nicer about Kim, my great friend and dear leader Kim, who's a murderer, and President Xi, nicer than your Fed chairman, you got some stuff backwards. So this is another potential black swan event. I know for a fact, what was it, 2 years ago? 2 Octobers ago, we were going to bomb North Korea. We had 3 carrier strike groups in the region. I haven't seen that much iron in that region since World War II, man. You can Google it, and it's kind of public now. I knew for a fact at the time we were going to strike, and the president more or less told the dude, hey, man, unless you get to the table, you're dead. And he capitulated. So this is a black swan event. I get that they pat each other on the back and we're dear friends and stuff like that. Well, that's not what dear friends do. Moving on. Chinese Russian warplanes test U.S. patients in skies near where? Oh, South Korea. China and Russia are trying to poke holes in the U.S., Japan, South Korea security system. So Vladimir's out there, Xi's out there, the mullahs are out there, and our dear leader Kim. And here we are, folks, just caring about, other stuff here. These are all potential black swan events, folks. I sailed through this region on the Abraham Lincoln and the Kitty Hawk, and familiar with a lot of the tensions here. And it's not getting better. It's not like things are improving. This isn't like, Reagan and Gorbachev and the wall coming down and geez, and can we all be friends? And, Rodney King, can't we all get along? No, man, it looks like the world's really coming unglued. And, oh, by the way, let's go back to this map. One of the reasons I've been ripping the president to shreds about his more or less intransigence, in my opinion, on Hong Kong is that right there, folks. You see where it says Taiwan? That's mainland China, baby. That's Taiwan. We recognize Taiwan as essentially its own independent country. What does China call them? A renegade province. Sound familiar? Where's another renegade province that China's, getting ready to invade? Hong Kong, man. If they go into Hong Kong with jackbooted thugs and cracking skulls and destroying pro-democracy protesters, and we do nothing, which we'll get to our options, which may be limited. Guess what he's going to do next, man? It's Taiwan, folks. If he gets to walk through Hong Kong crushing people, they will move to take back Taiwan. I guarantee you, right? So what are we doing? U.S. backs F-16 sale to Taiwan and move likely to anger China? The last time we sold M1 battle tanks and Stingers, what was it? 2 months ago, we approved $2.2 billion in arms sale to Taiwan. Furious China. So I like this, Mr. President. Why aren't you tweeting about it? Why aren't you, along with the pro-democracy, protesters in Hong Kong, we fully support Taiwan's independence and freedom, and give a Ronald Reagan speech, Mr. President. Get off your freaking phone and put Twitter down, man. Get up there. Ronald Reagan could move people with the power of words. You and your Twitter account are starting to become an embarrassment. China's paramilitary force police flex muscles where? In Shenzhen. At Shenzhen Sports Stadium, thousands of young officers exercise military vehicles at the ready. They are ready to storm into Hong Kong, folks. So I've been here, folks. I've been to Hong Kong. I've been all over this region here. So there's Shenzhen, man. Guess what? Right there into Hong Kong. That's mainland China, right? Why is this a big deal, folks? Hong Kong is a financial center. London, New York, Chicago, huge international trade and monetary, and let alone just being free, man. China told the Brits, they told the world in 1997, one country, two systems. We'll let Hong Kong kind of keep its economic and free status and cool stuff, but it ain't spreading throughout China. Now, okay, now you're China, and we're not going to let any of this spread into China, right? So the stakes could not be higher for the president. Slowly throughout the week, he maybe got dragged or maybe pushed to being a little, I'm not even going to say stronger on Hong Kong, folks. It was, he did, what was it, Tuesday? We were in a live trade brief. He did a little Rodney King, all sides, everyone should be calm. And seriously, dude? What's going on in Hong Kong, Mr. President? First of all, it's infuriating the Chinese. A lot of these protesters are running around with American flags. They ain't CIA agents. And they're singing our national anthem. I've seen several signs that said, we need our own Bill of Rights. I've seen another one that said, this is why we need a Second Amendment type of thing. With people yearning to be free, to get under the cloak of just communism and a dictatorship in President Xi. You're kind of wanting to get a trade deal done so much that you're not going to rip the guy apart? Come on, dude, get a backbone. Trade ain't that important. This is. My God, man, wake up. This week, folks, China macroeconomic data absolutely imploded. What was this, Wednesday night? Our Tuesday night. Fixed asset investment plunge. Industrial production, the worst in like 17 years. Everything imploded this week. Retail sales, absolute on fire. There it is. The China factory output was the weakest in 17 years. Everything missed. I have I'm dog fighting an FXI trade, man, into the close here. I needed to go down about 17 cents to hit max profit. I might get out of it before the close. I'm just kind of dog fighting it, guys. I don't know if we're going to rally into the close here and hold what we got, or kind of sell off. But the SPX, we have an S&P 500 bear call spread we placed Tuesday. How about making $2,700 in 3.5 days on limited risk? $2,700 profit in this trade on $4,800 in risk that we did Tuesday in the live trade brief. But why am I bringing up FXI? It's going down, folks. I put some seriously bearish trades on FXI. The last time we did a big bearish trade on China, $6,000 in risk in the 2 trades. They made 20 grand. Why? Beijing doctors their data, folks. If their data is showing things are imploding, it's even worse, right? It's a hell of a lot worse, right? And it's gonna get even worse. But this could, if this trade war gets deeper, folks. And I briefed you on this, I think, Tuesday. I said, what is the ultimate nuclear weapon that China holds? And it ain't a physical nuclear weapon. It's about $1.2 trillion in United States debt. Do you imagine if President Xi Jinping picked up the phone and say, hey, Donald, yeah, hey, Xi, what's up, man? You want to play golf? No, I want my $1.2 trillion back. Here's your worthless pieces of paper. I think the last time I saw somebody do the math, it would be a margin call. Every person listening to this that's an American, you owe $166,000. My kids, all of them, 166 grand apiece. You got that? You ready? You ready for that margin call, folks? That would absolutely you want to see a black swan event? It would be that. The Dow Industrial would be at 1,000. The S&P would be at 100, man. If China picked up the phone and dumped all of their treasuries. Can they do it? Sure. Will they? I don't know, man. I didn't think we'd be this deep in this trade war. I didn't think the president would capitulate. I didn't think the Cathay Pacific CEO would resign after supporting some of the protesters, man. Wow. So the Chinese government picked up the phone and said, dude, you're no longer the CEO of Cathay Pacific. The parent company was it Shino something, whatever the parent company is. The guy had to resign. So here we go. Although we can't complain, right? Everybody remember when Barack Hussein Obama bailed out his buddies at General Motors, all his union donors, and he fired the CEO of General Motors? I don't remember in the Constitution under the article, the presidential power where it says you can fire a CEO, but apparently you can in China and you can in America. Anyway, folks, the bad week for the president, bad weeks for the markets. A matter of fact, where was it? This is we're seeing a little bit of green today. Stocks climb but remain on track for weekly losses. Do not believe this, folks. Sell any rip. I've been doing this for a week and a half, folks. Every massive pop, I've shorted and made a lot of money. At the bottom, I've got long. At the top, I've shorted. I would be shorting volatility here and shorting the market. Look at, you ready for the down? Let's connect all these. Down, down. That is a 60-degree dive angle. That's a SBD Dauntless going after the Akaga at the Battle of Midway. We're going lower, folks. Copy and paste what happened from May to June and put it right here. It's squished. This was over a month. This is over a couple weeks. We're not going higher, folks. The Chinese this week came back and said what? Not thank you for delaying the tariffs until December, but F you. Trump. They made fun of him, and they also said, we're going to retaliate on September 1st because you left a handful of things in place to increase on the 1st. No thank you, no. The closest we got to something good this week was that China said maybe we can meet in the middle. This ain't meeting in the middle, folks. Donald Trump panicked this week. Trump panicked as stocks fell and called top 3 bank CEOs. Can you believe this? When the Dow dropped 800 points the other day, Trump held a conference call with who? Jamie Dimon, Moynihan, and Citi's Corbett. Wow. Does everybody remember back around Christmas when Mnuchin was out with his trophy wife and laying on the beach in Mexico, picked up the phone and called all the banks like, hey, you guys, everybody good? You guys okay? Are you capitalized? Remember that? The Mnuchin, let's take a look at the chart here. Uh, let's go back to the chart. Take a look what happened. Remember this? There's Jerome Powell doing his job. We're raising interest rates, and there's the markets having a taper tantrum, right? And here's the bottom here where eventually the Fed just threw in the towel and said, we will do everything to save this market, and Mnuchin also picking up the phone. And then here we are. So the president should be watching these briefs, by the way, anyway. But the guy watches the market as much as I do throughout the day, and he cannot get reelected if a recession's going on or we're in, this trade war is starting to hit consumers. It hasn't yet, folks. Don't believe the academics those who can't teach. That's in page 3 of the econ book from freshman year. It's not true right now, folks. It was maybe going to come true if, like the president said, I'm going to hold off on these because iPhone or, cell phones, laptops and stuff like that, toys around Christmas. Yeah, maybe. But we're a year and a half, 2 years into this trade war, folks, and nobody's feeling it, right? Go to your neighbor and say, man, how about this trade war? They're going to shrug. The economy's great, folks. Did you see what happened yesterday? Empire State, retail sales, you name it, industrial production, business inventories, housing, folks. Great macroeconomic numbers this week, right? Building permits today through the roof. Housing starts down a little bit. Consumer sentiment, that one imploded. But what am I getting at? But I'd say 75% of the macroeconomic data this week out of the United States was solid. 25% some red. So is the Fed going to jump in and save us again? They may not have enough firepower here, folks. We nailed this, folks. We made a shit pot of money last month when I said when the Jerome Powell comes out and announces he's cutting rates, the market's going to implode. What are you talking? It's built in here. We already know what the guy's going to do. He testified in front of the House and Senate and told us what he's going to do. And when he did it, the market imploded. We nailed it, folks. He looked like just Mr. Magoo at the press conference. Why'd you cut rates, man, if everything's so great? Trade, uncertainty around trade. And then like a boss, Trump goes, oh, yeah, that's how I'm going to get interest rates lower is you're freaked out about trade. Not even 24 hours later, he picks up his cell phone and goes, September 1st, huge tariffs. Boom. So now the Fed literally, you think they were backed into a corner here? There's no corner left, man. He's like through the wall. Jerome Powell was squished into the corner, is actually outside of the house at this point. But ladies and gentlemen, they're running out of firepower. We can go to zero. We can go to negative interest rates. Guess what? JP Morgan's even calling for what? QE, quantitative easing. The Fed needs to start pumping money into this market. Ladies and gentlemen, if you followed me over the years, I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network up in Chicago, kind of the CNBC for options. When the financial crisis happened, what did I say? Let it burn. Things need to be able to fail. Just because Paulson ran into the White House or the Oval Office and told the president, hey, we need to jump in here and save capital. No, man. Obviously, Bush, a C student from wherever it was, Harvard, Yale, good guy to have a beer with, but a complete idiot. Just because Wall Street was going to feel pain, right? On the back of my book, ladies and gentlemen, is a quote from Lloyd Blankfein, the former head of Goldman Sachs, right? One of his lieutenants, was freaking out. In the car, and Lloyd Blankfein looked at him. He goes, "Hey, man, you're getting ready to step out of a limo to walk into the New York Fed. You're not landing in a Higgins boat on Omaha Beach. Seriously." So maybe, it's ridiculous. Why am I going on this rant? The Fed should not be doing this. Do your job, Fed. Your job is not to keep equities up. The last time I checked, the Federal Reserve's mandate was full employment and inflation. There ain't no number 3, folks. Keep equities higher. Stop it. Anyway, the other reason we had a real crazy week was the yield curve inverting. Obviously, you probably don't keep an eye on the bond market. It's one of the scans in my cockpit, and this week, that red light was on that instrument that I really don't watch too often. Why? Because it shouldn't be inverted. I love being inverted, not in the treasury market, right? The 10-year, all the way out in time, 10 years from now, should be paying you more interest, right? It's further out in time. I want a bigger return on my money. Well, we rolled inverted, man, and the shorter dated one, the 2-year, has a perfect track record of indicating 18 to 22 months later, a recession. Guess what, Donald Trump? 18 to 22 months from now, you ain't getting reelected if we're in a recession. Okay? So I get the president today jawboning. What was it, Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday in accelerated retirement. Wednesday at like August 14th at 1:14. I wrote this down, man. The Trump put died. The president being able to jawbone this market higher died. Nobody believes him anymore. Hey, I just talked to G, or everything's great, or whatever. It's over with, folks. Donald Trump cannot talk this market higher. The only way this guy's going to talk this market higher is if he literally comes out and says, I'm meeting G and we're signing a deal. That's anything other than that is all talk, and it sucks. The talk sucks. He looks completely unhinged and disconnected from reality. So, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was your day? Great numbers out of Amazon this week. The retail sales were huge. So, real quick, let me summarize on this, folks. September, Fed meeting, 100% probability that we're going to get a rate cut. Why? Did you not see the retail sales numbers? There ain't no – so this is what's funny is we're in this bizarro world right now of, hey, the Fed's got to come in and save capitalism. Why? The job numbers are fantastic. Retail sales are good. Consumer confidence was a little off today. Housing – what's really horrific right now? The trade war. That's about it. If you look at the macroeconomic data, if you put your blinders on and you look at the macro data, the Fed should not be cutting interest rates. Why are they doing it? It's on your screen, folks. Here's the wrap up here. I've always said the Fred Sanford and Son is going to happen. Grabbing your chest, and this is the big one, is when central banks run out of ammo and the market loses faith in their ability to keep equities up. That's not their job. The Federal Reserve, their job is not to cut rates to make Donald Trump happy to keep your 401k high. This is the problem with America today and our government. Mission creep. Get back in your lane, Federal Reserve, and maybe things would work. Get out of capitalism. Stop. Don't listen to the tweets. The president back here was wrong. You shouldn't be cutting. You should be raising rates. The president just wants rates low so equities will go up. Until that doesn't work, and then the dude's going to be left with so much red on this screen that he might not even run for re-election. I'm telling you, folks, very, very dangerous when the Federal Reserve gets into, does everybody remember that? It was that one press conference with Janet Yellen, man. Janet Yellen, and she made a comment about biotech stocks being overvalued. I used to drink Starbucks, now I don't. About spit my Starbucks out on my computer. I'm like, what did she just say? When did the Federal Reserve chief become a hedge fund manager? I think biotech's overvalued. What? Unbelievable. So anyway, folks, I got to get going. Great week. Like I said, we have a lot of green on our screens. We have a lot of red because why? This is a trading market. Net, we are very, very profitable for the week. If you're listening to me right now, what is it? It's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I got a coaching session at 1, 2, and 3. Fridays are my busiest day. I do like 8 live trade briefs individually for my coaching customers. Anyway, I'd be selling into this pop. The bias is lower. If you think we're going to uber snap back up to the 50 anytime soon, tell me why. Remember, folks, these protests in Hong Kong are over the weekend. This has been going on for 3 months. And these guys in the stadiums, they didn't get there just to stretch and run around and play soccer in here. Okay? You might be sitting there going, this is a huge show of force. But last weekend's protests in the airport, very, very pivotal. Does Xi say, all right, let's let this fizzle out? It ain't going to fizzle out, folks. If anything, they're emboldened. If you're President Xi Jinping, do you say, let this go? Or do you say, crush it? I think he crushes it. There's no way in hell this type of stuff can seep over to mainland China, in his opinion. It'll be the end of his presidency. Wow, a lot of stuff. So I'd be short the market right now, long volatility. We got a dogfight. We're having a blast here at Top Gun Options. I've seen a lot of folks take me up on my 7-day test flight because it seems like 7 days is a month in these markets. Only $38. I'm going out tonight. My buddy Greg's birthday, Greg and Drea, and I went to Costco earlier and I got a bottle of 1942, his favorite tequila. It was $120, man. Happy birthday! But guess what? For the price of a nice bottle of tequila, you could get four trials, right? 4 test flights. $38 for a week, folks. That's a steal. In 7 days, you're probably going to get, I don't know, 4 to 5, maybe 6 trade ideas during those 7 days. Actionable trade ideas live in the market. And if you can't attend, I'm going to be sending out text and email alerts. Okay, so for $38, it's cheap. Head to go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. The price is cheap. The content is priceless. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge and God bless. I'll see you on Monday.